Good evening and welcome back. Today's the 22nd day of February 2017. Yesterday was a beautiful day, pretty much all over the country. A lot of people had the day off for President's Day, and they took those days to go to the lake and have family picnics, and you know what they do on holidays. But then there's a certain group of morons. And these morons used to follow the Muslim that occupied my White House. And these morons decide to get out, and they're going to waste a beautiful day when they could be with their family, do something, and they're out there carrying signs and, because it's not my President's Day. And then, of course, there were others that just had to get out and do stupid things and end up in jail. But anyway, didn't come to talk about that. It came to talk about Tucker Carlson again. I'll tell you what, I love that man. That man can pin down an idiot in no time. He had an individual on his show last night, and his name was Shane Sanders. Now, a little background. Shane is a gay man, and he's I wouldn't call him an organizer, because he's not. He just thinks he's in charge of a few people down there that he calls a movement. This wasn't a protest. Oh no, Shane says, this is a movement. Really? What were you protesting? Well, we were protesting President Trump because he might pass some executive orders that may hurt the LGBT community or the gay community, and he hadn't turned over his taxes. Well, he hadn't done anything like that yet, except he hadn't turned over his taxes, but there's no law that says he does, that he has to do that. That was done voluntary by a few presidents, and some followed suit. Mr. Trump didn't, but there again, that is his prerogative. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's go right over to the interview with Shane Sanders. You'll get a kick out of this, and I'll be back and talk about it in a couple of minutes.
Some of us spent the day engaged in virtuous labor so we could bring you an entertaining news show at 9 p.m. I'm not sure if that's virtuous, but that's what we did. Other people spent time with their families, went to ski resorts, the Caribbean, but for some people, President's Day was a nice excuse to protest. Thousands gathered across the country for Not My President's Day protests, where they vowed to resist President Trump. We're joined tonight by Shane Sanders, who participated in one of these demonstrations in L.A. Shane, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tucker.
When I saw this, I've interviewed a lot of people at protests and protest leaders, and I'm mostly interested in why. So there have been a lot of protests against Trump, and a lot of people, famous people, people with TV shows jumping up and down and saying he's terrible, he's Hitler, etc. And it hasn't seemed to have had much effect on the course of the administration. Why do you think your protest is going to make a difference? And what's the point of it?
I disagree, Tucker. I think they're definitely making an impact. You see, it's called a movement, and as you've noticed, the protests are growing, they're getting larger. There's multiple protests coming up in reference to Trump's taxes. There's, as a gay man, there's a LGBT, protest coming up in reference to Trump's potential actions against the gay community. And it's not a standstill, it's a movement. And I definitely think, and it's getting to Trump, I would say so as well. We see he's getting frazzled by the media. And I definitely think they're making a definite impact.
So you want the president to be more frazzled?
No, it's obviously you're saying he's not, it's not making a difference, and I think it is, because he keeps calling attention to the media's perception of him.
Okay. So you said that as a gay man, it was important to you to do it. You wanted to call attention to LGBT issues. I'm not aware that Trump is on a different side from you on any of those issues. What do you mean exactly?
No, there's been some potential legislation out there in reference to some federal executive orders he wants to place, and these past protests that have been transpiring since. Well, let me finish my thought. Okay. These protests have started since January, and they've been the Women's March. We've had the Muslim ban march, which people are disagreeing with all of Trump's references to what he wants to do. And I think today was just another one of those positive causes where people are uniting together and they are making a statement against what Trump is trying to put into motion.
Right. I get that. The details kind of matter because, it's a protest. You're trying to influence the President of the United States, most powerful man in the world. So what specifically do you mean? What are you worried about, as you said, as a gay man? What is Trump going to do to you as a gay man?
Well, that was in reference to the upcoming June LA, LGBT march. But in reference to, today was the Not My President's Day march, and because many of us do agree. And if you're looking at all these protests that are happening, you see thousands and thousands. I look back at the inauguration day march. And they were expected to be 50 to 100,000 people in Los Angeles.
I want to be
750,000.
But I want to bring you back to the point that I asked about a couple of times. So Trump, I think, released a letter today saying that all the protections for gay workers in place, he's going to keep, late January, I guess, he's going to keep in place. So I often hear people say, I'm worried as a gay man about Trump, but what specifically does that mean? What are you worried about? What executive orders has he said he's going to put through that are going to hurt you as a gay man?
Mike Pence's thoughts are very well known in regards to the LGBT community, and there was an initial report where Trump...
Look, you threw this out there, so I think it's fair for me to press you.
Honestly, I feel like Trump isn't even the president either, and it's very well known in reference to, if you look at his cabinet, Trump's throwing a potential re-election. No, because he is on that platform to speak for said presidency. He's in Florida this past week and beginning a re-election campaign, while Mike Pence, as much as I disagree with the man, is actually doing presidential things and, overseas. He's meeting with you two, talking about,
Pence
the
was
AIDS.
the bad one, but now he's the good one?
You're twisting my words.
I'm not. You just said, and I'm trying to be fair with you. You just said that you don't think you're protesting Trump because you're afraid of what he's going to do, particularly, as you said, as a gay man. I asked you, what is he going to do to you as a gay man? Well, nothing really, but Mike Pence will, because Trump's not the real president.
My being gay is not the point of this. It was
in
reference to an upcoming protest. Yes, I did. I did. And if I was a woman, I'd mention how I was at, the women's protest.
But you're not a woman, so let's get back to the point that you made. What are you talking about? Because there are gay people watching and they're thinking, holy smokes, what's Trump going to do to me? What's Trump going to do to you as a gay man? That's an honest question. What's the answer?
It's well known that there was potential legislation out there. There was a leaked report.
But he doesn't pass legislation.
And it was covered by the media.
The Congress. And he put a letter out disputing.
There was a potential executive order, Tucker.
But he said, I'm not going to
Do you want to talk about the actual Not My President's Day protest, or are we just going to go off on a tangent on...
It's not a tangent, Shane. You brought
I made
it
an
up.
off-the-cuff remark about my being a gay man.
Okay.
And I feel like I've been talking more about that than the actual protest itself. So if we want to get back to talking about the protest, I'm more than happy to.
Look, I asked you why you were protesting. You said there are a bunch of reasons. Here's one of them. I said, I hear this a lot from people of goodwill who say, I'm gay and I'm worried about President Trump. And you brought it up. And so I said, in what way?
But I also mentioned the tax day protests, and we seem to kind of want to pigeonhole away from Trump's taxes, which have still not been released. And I also mentioned that as one of the upcoming protests, and you're completely deviating. You're picking on one specific thing that I said.
I'm making the mistake of taking
I'm glad you find this funny, because I don't particularly.
Which I will never do again. I can promise you that. Shane, thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it.
Okay, have you stopped laughing yet? This guy's got to be an idiot. He can't, he's like the rest of the protesters, we talked about the last time we talked about Tucker Carlson, because you see, these people, they get one thing on their mind. I got to protest. I got to go out and I got to get known, and I got to make it known that I don't like the president. But then when you try to corner them on anything, they get all flustered. They start breathing hard. Some of them, you notice, Mr. Sanders almost got a unibrow thing going. His head all furled up, and he started breathing hard again, and he started stuttering because he didn't know. He was told to go out there and protest. And I'm sure that's probably the Muslim used to occupy my White House that was behind all that. He's behind most of it. But 5 different times Carlson tried to pin him down. Well, what do you think they're going to do to the gay community? Well, there's potential legislation. The second time he says, well, that was in reference to the protests we're going to have in June for LGBT. The third time he pulled him down, he said, well, everything's in place for the executive action by Mike Pence. Mike Pence doesn't write executive actions. And then the fifth time he pulled him down, well, there's potential legislation. Really? Now we've gone from executive action to legislation against gay people. That's the way these idiots operate. And I'm giving them a lot of slack, calling them idiots, because there's other words I could use right now that would feel a lot better to me. Anyway, that's my thought for the day. Tell me what you think. Pass this on to your friends and let them contribute. And then while you're doing that, take a look at the protesters back here. Have a good laugh on me. It's been a wonderful day. I've had a wonderful chat. Please come back and see me.